7. If the leader of France was looking to provoke the unjabbed people in his country, he did just that. At least 100,000 people taking to the streets of France over the restrictions and mandates being imposed on them by this dictator Macron. They came out and stated that he was literally going to do whatever it took just to piss these people off, and he openly stated this in front of the whole country. So, on Saturday, huge crowds coming out, roughly 4 times larger than they were back on December 18th. These crowds so massive, the police can do nothing. They will show you hardly any footage of this in any of the action. And when the groups get this big, you don't see clashes. You don't see fighting because the cops are outnumbered. They don't stand a chance. It's only when the people are in smaller pockets that you see them start to square up against the people. When they come out 100,000 deep, they can do nothing. Do you understand this? The powers in your people, the powers in the politics that you address, the powers in your numbers. And when you rise, you overthrow this tyranny, left and right. Snap out of the dream and the illusion, folks. This is worldwide. CNN, MSNBC, all of them controlled by your government that is not going to tell you the truth of what's going on. Everything that's happening in Kazakhstan, the people rising. They just yesterday, within the past 24, 36 hours, admitted that it didn't have anything to do with just fuel prices. It had everything to do with the way of life and the mandates and the COVID-19 restrictions being imposed. That is why people were bucking back. And you have a little mix of color revolution with alphabet gangs mixing in there, dropping off crates of weapons, just like they did in Ukraine. Cause the instability in the area, run out the elected government so you can bring in a puppet that you like, or you can implement what you like in the country. And we're seeing this highly trained individuals in Kazakhstan sniping police from hundreds of yards out. Highly trained movement on the ground. You have to be aware. There can be either righteous movements out here of the people, or you can allow them to get infiltrated. And once that happens, it gets nasty. And I know it can be very confusing. But we've been covering this step by step for years now. And I'm telling you, Kazakhstan, just following in the footsteps of Ukraine there. And in France, with this many people rising to the occasion, and people like this rising in other countries, you can expect to see some change, some shifting. At some point, something's going to give. And they're going to have to step back some, walk this back. Hey, everything's okay, Calm down. They're going to try that card, but not after the people rise in mass, and it has begun. When workers are getting laid off, people cannot pay their bills, they're being forced into the streets, and food is missing on the shelves, it's game time. If you've been wondering. Going to break this down further on the next live stream. Make sure to join me Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern. Follow me on Twitter and Getter. You'll find links below. Hit that subscribe button for more. Stay sharp, y'all.
Since I started using this shampoo, the results have been amazing. The truth is, even washing your head every day, more than 90% of men...
I want to start off by giving all praises, all honor, and all glory to call Loyam La Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahushai Ba'Hashem Chakodash Brakatham. Double honors to the apostles and to the elders of Great Millstone who do rule well. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and their freedom to do so. Now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akwath, as well as the Akim out there listening and learning. Lord, willingly, this is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad. Shalom to the Israelites scattered abroad in the land of the other nations, appearing like the other nations, but subscribing to this truth. To you, I say shalom. So, Brother Yahweh out of the GMS Cleveland Church and fellow servant, coming at you with another lesson through the Spirit and through the power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. I've been following Dabu because he's been doing a lot of videos lately. That's one thing I will say about the Edomite, that he does bring out information, but it was prophesied that their tongues shall fall upon themselves. At the end of the day, he's not a very spiritual man. That's what I think he Jake, because he might even be an agent provocateur, because when you take time to really think about what he's doing, he's really inciting the people to rebel. He's saying stand up, and at what cost? At the end of the day, yeah, I mean, I can't speak on anybody else. Scriptures talk about that. Well, I can, because we do, but what I'm saying is that's their lot. Scriptures tell you it was prophesied that certain men will be sedition, evading one another, not regarding their kings or princes. So that's prophecy, and Yahweh Shai Mashiach prophesied that. At the end of the day, this is all prophecy. So you got men and women and people set up to do certain things. They're set up to protest, and their lot is to go against the government. Till it becomes physical. Because you're gonna have Esau fighting against Esau. They were saying that. Who do you think is gonna be actually giving these Edomites when they come with these troops? Who you think they're gonna be physically fighting them? It's gonna be more so Esau, Edom. These cops and officers and military that quit their job. Literally, it's videos with retired police officers and ex-army officers that's literally seeing the times that's ahead and are prepared to a degree. They're not prepared because they're not spiritually prepared. Nonetheless, they feel they're prepared carnally. And that's how you know the difference between Jacob and Esau. That's one of the indicators. Because I won't say that, a spiritual man can't become carnal, but at the same time, the difference between a man of the Lord and a man of the world, is a spiritual man. He's not going to become carnal. He's going to rely on Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua for all things. That's why Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua loved King David so much. Although King David was a man of war, he's a mighty man of valor. Made me think of that scripture, the account where, David's son was talking about trying to go find David and his mighty man, and that advisor that was helping David, he said, "No, I suggest you don't do that. Because you got to understand, David was a bad man. You know what I'm saying? You got to, like, when you watch certain movies and whatnot, like when you look at Achilles, and Achilles had a group of men that was all, what he say, we're lions. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, like, that's how King David and his mighty men were. When you go into the accounts, he had men that was slaying hundreds of men by themselves. And that's why it makes sense, like brother brought that out at camp, why they feminize, the men so much. Because at the end of the day, a man in his power, although these bodies are weak, the human body can do a lot of shit. I've been watching lately how Moab had literally came up with that technique with the iron palms. You can strengthen your skin and your bones to be so strong you can break through bricks and walls. And you got people that can pull tractor trailers and semi trucks and shit. You know what I mean? Like, the human body, that's a body that's not even completely focused. You got to understand, they say you only use 10% of your potential. So wait till the Most High God, Yahweh Shem Yahushua, unlocks our brains like off of the Matrix. When we're able to use 100, when he gives us the light, and we literally, using, a higher percentage of our brains. That's when we're gonna be God-like. We're gonna be powers. So Salakia though. So showing that this was prophesied, this is the book of Matthew chapter 24. We all are familiar with. Anything red lettered is Yahweh Shai Mashiach, who you ignorantly call Jesus Christ, speaking. And it says, and Yahweh shall answer, because they asked him basically what would be the coming and the sign of the times of your second return, roughly paraphrased. And he said, many shall come in my name, saying, I am Mashiach, and shall deceive many. You've had that in the past, and you're gonna have it. It's a guy that they saying basically is basically the Messiah. I forgot his name, but he's supposed to be an Amalekite. And they wait for the third temple to be created and all this old shit. But to show you how people don't really understand the scriptures because they're not really spiritual, at the end of the day, it's not talking about a physical building. Peter spoke on it. He said, we're lively stones. So this time is not a physical building, because the kingdom of heaven is the people before it's a place. When it tells you in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 7 about the Most High God, Yahweh Shem Yahushua, chose Israel to be a holy people. When you go to that word holy is separate from all the different nations. So our customs are looked at upon as strange, and they're different from all the other nations. That's why we don't partake in our food has to be cooked a certain kind of way. That's why we don't partake in eating a lot of different stuff. But saying all that to say, it says, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Mashiach, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. So you hearing about wars and rumors of wars. You hearing about conflict in Kazakhstan. And it's things going on in the States that people ain't speaking on. Like I said, they doing a whole smooth move. And a lot of people going to get caught unawares by it. We do these videos because we are ordained, and this is our lot. It talks about in the book of Ezekiel, I've ordained thee a watchman. And as a watchman, we supposed to sound the horn. We supposed to be, crying out and getting the attention of the people. And it talks about if they hear or forbear. So, so the blood is not on our hands. So that's part of the prophecy. And then the prophecy, like I said, of course, the sedition among men, which is like an uproar. For the sword was Salakia, 2 Ezra 15 and 16, for there shall be sedition among men, evading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, in the course of their actions shall stand their power. So they're not regarding, they said in France, the president basically made a statement and they didn't regard it. France was pretty heavy on trying to control the population with the mandates and whatnot. And like Dabu said, that is the truth, when you take the time to think about, like the city of Cleveland, we are in Cleveland, LeBron is not from Cleveland. But anyhow, we in Cleveland. And Cleveland, when you go into the numbers or the force, it's maybe I think 2,200 or something like that. So you got 22, and it's actually less than that because when, they put these mandates in and they affected civil servants and all that first and foremost. A lot of police officers are all around the country quit. We got brothers in Chicago. They talking about Chicago turning up too. And you got to understand, Chicago's a gangland. You know what I mean? So Chicago gonna be off of a fucking movie. Like you ever seen Mad Max in the Thunderdome with Tina Turner and all that? You know what I mean? You gonna have warlords and criminals running cities and shit. You had a lot of police officers quit and retire early because they see where the shit going. You already see police officers feel tough because of the fact that they got a weapon and they could do, I don't like police officers. When you go into police officers, because I heard somebody make a statement, the police officers is based on the slave patrol. So when they had to catch a nigga patrol, you know what I mean? That's where they kind of said it to a degree that was, but that's where you get the police officer from. That's what the police officers aren't set up to really help you. They're set up to keep intact the laws that's set up for the system. They're not here to protect you. They're here to protect the property of the system. So in that day of trouble, a lot of people are going to be relying on the police. And they showed you that when they first locked down. It was an all-time, domestic violence was at an all-time high during, when they locked down. Because it show you how funny fucking people are. People talking about how I love you and all this old shit and didn't even know they kids. They going crazy because they got to be stuck with their kids for once and you a fucking parent. Don't even know anything about your kid. So now they driving you crazy. Or you got these people that call themselves in marriages and relationships and don't even like each other. And that's why the Lord actually, so you had these men and women that's used to being away from each other for the amount of time in the day, and they couldn't. And domestic violence went to an all-time high. And not just here, but all around the fucking world. So when the day of trouble comes, you really don't even understand. It tells you, for the love, in the book of Matthew chapter 24, it says, for the love of many shall wax cold. Salakia, because I'm butchering it. It says, iniquity shall abound. When you go into the word iniquity, that's sin upon sin. When you go into 2 Ezra chapter 5, it goes into the inconsistencies. I would have to find it. Matter of fact, I'm going to get it real quick. When you go into that word, basically that's lawlessness. This is the book of Second Ezra, chapter 5, verse 10. And shall be sought of many, and yet be. It says, there shall be a confusion also in many places, and the fires shall be oft sent out again, and the wild beasts shall change their places, and minstrels women shall bring forth monsters. We living in a Generation X with these fucking wild. You got these children beating up old people and women. All these type of things have happened recently. That's why they call this the Generation X and the millennials and all this old silly ass shit. But this is a perverse generation for real, because like I said, I've never seen a generation with all these people got different colors in their head. Not understanding that, don't you know colors bring a vibration? Red, it brings a vibration. I'm skipping verse 10. And shall be sought of many and yet not be found. Then shall unrighteousness and inconsistency be multiplied upon the earth. So unrighteousness, wickedness, lawfulness, unlawfulness, and inconsistency means basically lawlessness. Meaning crime is going to be, on the uproar. And you're seeing all that now. Second Ezra 15, and the point was, for there shall be sedition among men, invading one another. They shall not regard their kings or princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. So you seeing that now. Them protests, they said 100,000 people, and that's because what people don't understand, it's a spirit behind everything. How simple people is. People don't believe in spirits, right? But when you go to a bar, you can still go to a modern bar that says spirits. Because literally, like, what do you think Yahweh Shah was doing? Like, sickness is a spirit. Like the Yahweh Shah Hamashiach, who you ignorantly call Jesus Christ, was so heavily tapped into the spirit. That's what we were speaking about that at camp as well. The one brother, one of the heads was speaking on. He said, you got to understand how tapped up in the spirit he was. When a woman touched his garment and he knew something wasn't right. He said he felt power release. Can you imagine that? Like if you could actually feel all your virtue, like your energy level. Like, and people do it like when they overexert themselves. But for the most part, like simply from a touch though. When you really sit and take the time, that's how you should know that like it's a lot of manipulation. But what it truly is witchcraft. People don't even understand. A lot of ancient symbols that have been used for wickedness is literally being still implemented and put in the earth because Satan, this red Hebrew Edomite, who you call the so-called white man, literally has did a diligent search. It tells you that in the scriptures. So he's been put in a position of power, and he's been able to. He know the ark of he know the Noah's Ark. Like they literally, when you go into they supposed to found Noah's Ark. I remember when I was locked up one time, it was a book that I found that spoke on this shit. I took the book because they tore down the workhouse. And guess what? Guess what? Then I had a demon threw the book out. Spirits. I was just listening to the guy Crunchy Black from 3-6 Mafia. As bugged out as this guy is, he said some righteous shit. Because, Satan don't come like Lil Nas X with the whole dancing on the devil's dick type shit. That's just him being a whore for the industry and for the elites. That was all symbolic. Satan don't come like that because when you understand how spirits work, you can't fight a spirit. The only way you can fight a spirit is spiritually. Second Ezra chapter 9. That's why it tells you in the book of what? 2 Corinthians, it talks about our warfare is not carnal, but mighty. I gotta find it. I'm butchering it like a 2 Corinthians. I don't like this app. 2 Corinthians chapter 10. I think it's 4. It says, for our weapons of our warfare, this is 2 Corinthians 10:4, for the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua to the pulling down of strongholds. And that's what we're doing right now. We chanting down this fucked up ass kingdom because it talks about, when this gospel be preached around the whole earth, then the end shall come. Now, Christianity, this white baby boy Jesus, been pushed around the whole earth and the end didn't come, right? But when we got to saying that we the people, the Messiah is a man of color, and the world is going to be like this, and we going to rule, the planet Earth in righteousness, for years, this ain't been no overnight thing, but at the same time, for years, our elder apostles been preaching this, and that's when you start seeing the beginning of the end. We were literally watching biblical prophecy play out. And this whole protest that Dabu 7 is speaking on, that's biblical prophecy. So, our weapons as spiritual men and women is the scriptures. That's why it talks about the sword of truth and, the shield of faith. And, you know what I mean? Like, what are you talking about? Because spirits are real. And you're going to see a man. It talks about, well, I forget where exactly his word that. Oh, yeah. It's where's that at? In the book of Sirach, chapter 39. Spirits created for vengeance. You're going to have a lot more death angels out here, killing shit. This is 2 Ezra chapter 9, verse 1. This is a prophecy. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before. So the signs are the prophecies. This is one of them. Verse 2, then shalt thou understand that it's the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. So you measuring the time by watching for the prophecies. As a watchman, if you were called and you see and you actually understand the scriptures as a man of the nation of Yasharallah or Israel, it's your due diligence and your duty to actually learn this book and go out and prophesy. Not to be trying to do anything else. It's a hard pill to swallow. Everybody think that the Most High God wants you to literally just be a family man and the best dad you could be. The Lord can give a fuck about any of that. You know what I mean? I can show you a quick example. That's how people be sitting up here thinking they know shit. Not that I mean even bragging. It's frustrating sometimes. I be on the highways and hedges. You know how many times people done walked up and thinking they gonna teach you? Where the fuck your platform? You can go out here and go get and do the same shit. And you can go down the street and go out there. But why would you want to wait till when we doing it to come? You know what I mean? It says, then thou shalt understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. And like I said, we're measuring the signs and prophecies by seeing what's coming to pass. The scriptures is a book of prophecies. That's what makes our ministry totally different from all the different ministries. You got a million people it's a million, well, it's not a million, but it's a very many denominations of Christianity. When you go into the different denominations of Christianity. And what's the difference? Because they all felt that they had it better than the next one. It was all they message, their doctrine. And our doctrine is different from everybody's because ours is based on prophecy. And it tells you in the book of Revelation chapter 19 that, matter of fact, I'm going to get it real quick. Revelation chapter 19, I think it's verse 11. This is Revelation chapter 19, verse 10. And I fell at his feet to worship him. And he said unto me, see thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant of thy brethren that have the testimony of Yahushua. So basically, John was speaking to an angel. And basically, it talks about, like, you've had people have doctrines talking about worship the angels, when scriptures tell you not to worship the angels. This is an angel telling you not to worship him. He said, see thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant. It tells you in scriptures that we're going to have power over angels, those that endure to the end. It says, and of thy brethren. When you go into brethren, that's a brother. That's your kinsfolk. Your family. Scriptures talks about. I heard somebody make mention of talking about forgiving. You're supposed to forgive and forget and all that, and that is in the scriptures. But people take it out of context because they was making a statement. And when it talks about forgiving thy neighbor, your neighbor is the people that you live amongst that look like you. When you go into the scriptures, neighbor usually breaks down to your brother. Right. So people of another nation are not your fucking neighbor or your brother. I mean, like I said, we tend to stay. That's how you know we them people, because it tells you in the scriptures about how the curses was going to affect us. We are the only people that are more wicked to our own people, or more, or more. What's the word? Cruel. But the same people that sat up there and fucked up your forefathers, and that, like I said, like it's not normal to live the way we live. Even in the scriptures in the ancient days, you know what I mean? Men all had their own land. You know, people want to stand on top of each other and shit like that. This devil tell you that it's too many people on the planet. Yeah, and still you got all this land that's not being used. You got land that literally, you got buildings and property that is vacant. This devil really does not know how to rule. It says, I am thy fellow servant and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Yahushua. Worship Yahweh, for the testimony of Yahushua is the spirit of prophecy. So that's the point. Our doctrine is different. And when you really read the scriptures, go look it up yourself. It tells you that people were amazed at the doctrine that the Messiah was coming with. So the Messiah wasn't all hugs and kisses and whatnot, because if he was speaking all love like Gandhi or Martin Luther King, literally, they wouldn't have killed him. People don't even know some of the shit Martin Luther King said. Right before his death, you know, he kind of retracted that I have a dream speech. He made a statement, said, I feel like I led my people into a burning building. You can go look that up. Back in 2nd Ezra chapter 9, verse 3. And this is the prophecy and the point. It says, therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people. Okay, I did a video maybe a month ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, where on the West Coast by Oregon, the state of Oregon had 90 fucking earthquakes. Now, these people sit up there and say, oh, well, there's nothing really to be worried about. But that's abnormal to have that many earthquakes, because the earth is alive, if you didn't know that. And the earth is in mourning. It tells you the whole creation is in mourning, because this fucking devil don't know what he's doing. This man creates shit. And this is the only, like when Jake was in rulership, even Gad, the same people they call heathens. And, you know, when you go into Indian means savage from this devil's mind. But when you go into their customs, they was nothing like savage. They lived a very peaceful life. You know what I mean? Like, for the most part, they wasn't warlike. The fucking red Hebrew Edomite is warlike. That's why he constantly fucking fighting. When you go into the inception of America, America literally been around for what, 200 something years? They said they've been at a war for like 196 of them. So you've been at war as much as almost as long as you've been a nation. How the fuck is this a peaceful people? You know, when Columbus figured out this land, literally, he said these people are so helpful and kind, we could actually have them enslaved within, like, I forgot what time frame he said, but he said a short amount of time. So how the fuck are we warlike? We label, you know, Jake, who you so-called called Negroes, niggas, you know, we label the most ignorant people in the world. Well, even a 2/3 nigga don't be on some bullshit all the time. All a 2/3 nigga really want to do is just sit and chill. You know what I mean? For real. Maybe smoke some weed or some shit like that. You know? It's this devil that want to try and rule the whole fucking world and control what you think and do and say. And now you want to control what the fuck you putting in your body. So the prophecies say, therefore, when there shall be seen, therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars. When you go into uproars, it's seditions, insurrections. It's basically the people bucking up against the government. And this video proving that this is taking place. So that's why it says, then thou shalt understand it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. The Most High God is visiting the world. You can believe that or you don't have to. It don't matter. It tells you in the book of Romans, just because some did not believe, did it make it to none effect? Like, what's written still going to happen if you don't believe or not. And the people so fucking stupid, they don't even realize we at the end to the point, it's only like 2 major prophecies left. So, well, if you ever seen that movie Seven Signs when it was the end of the world, yeah, go watch that shit. It's 2 prophecies left. The MOTB, which they about to already talking about in the news, talking about this COVID chip that you put in your body, where they got people in Sweden that's already fucking taking it. That's the mark of the beast. And World War III. The Valley of Jehoshaphat. Why do you think you got all these nations concentrated over in the Middle East? So this shit gonna come sooner than you think. And the craziest part about it is, it's gonna be happen simultaneously to different people. You got people all in the Bitcoin and metaverse, and they gonna be living their best life, while you gonna have the real men of the Lord and the real believers that's gonna be getting persecuted, and you're gonna have Satan coming out with great wrath. It's gonna be all happen simultaneously. And then the end shall come. Verse 4, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. It tells you in the book of Romans that the things that were written before time were written for our learning. Somebody was recently just quoting, study to show thyself approved. And that's what the problem with these Christians is, because they don't. You know what I mean? It tells you in the book of Philippians that seek out ye own salvation. You know what I mean? Like, it tells you in the book of Proverbs that a king search out a matter. You like, come on, man. Like, you people going, a lot of people, and they're going to use the excuse. And the thing is, you can't use the excuses. The scripture in the book of John talks about if the Messiah hadn't come, they would have had a cloak for their sin. But being that he came and that happened to him, they have no cloak. So we all about to go through a judgment. Verse 5, for like as all that is in, it's like it. For like as all that is made in the world hath the beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. And when you go into the word manifest, meaning to appear. So if you can't see that what's going on, then you really, just spiritually dead. The Lord doesn't love you. But you know what I mean? Men that was spiritually dead, me, myself, first and foremost, I can speak on that because I was spiritually dead. That's why it's a blessing, like someone made mention of, call her Loyam Laya Habashim Yashai, that he gave me eyes, because I could be a stupid ass nigga in the world chasing a bag of paper money that's about to be basically worthless. Like, they switching over to digital money in your face. When you go into paper money and you go into fiat currency, that's paper money. That has no real fucking value. And to show you how simple people is, everybody from, I'm an Egyptian and we was kings and pharaohs and all that shit. Well, gold has always been the significance of currency. I mean, not significance, but everybody has always, that's why people take and go buy fucking gold chains and all that shit. So how can gold be less than money? See, like I said, y'all go, the thing is this, like I say, I'm going to repeat it again. It tells you in the book of Revelations that all eyes should see the Messiah. So although you might have a spell on you now because you can't see, because this place is steeped in witchcraft. You know what I mean? When you go into another tidbit for anything that's listening, at the end of the day, when you go into the TV, I'll never forget my father told me that. He said it's an idiot box. When you go into the TV and who created it, which if you really want to learn, you'll go figure that out on your own, because you can't be given every fucking thing. At the end of the day, the TV is witchcraft. It's a crystal ball. Right. That's why it's called TV programming. So when you've been to jail and incarcerated, you got to take programming most of the time to be set free, or, people that's on probation have to take programming. So in order for them to deem you, okay, you're fit to be off this, you have to go through programming. And most people that take that program say, this is some bullshit. But you got to go ahead and fake it and whatever. You got some people that fall victim to and believe that shit. Like we got a society we live in talking about a woman is equal to a man. A woman is a beautiful thing, but why would you want a woman to be be equal to you? Just like a woman won't want no fucking effeminized man. So it tells you in the scriptures about the turning of things upside down. This devil got a lot to fucking pay for. Because the whole course of the world is out of whack. And it tells you in the scriptures, those that are joined onto him shall be thrust through. And that ain't talking about with the, like, literally, it's going to come. Like I said, y'all better go check into that Kazakhstan thing. Again, it tells you in the book of Sirach that there are spirits made for vengeance. So that spirit that's over in these other lands where they're really protesting, and they got less guns and all that shit. America is going to be super bloody. Want to know why? Because there's more guns than people. That's why the Purge was wrote and created and filmed in fucking America. That's the spirit they're bringing. It's a purge coming. And it ain't they purge. It's ultimately the Most High God, Yahweh Shem Yahushua. So, with that all being said, the only way, if you are so-called Black, Hispanic, Native American, Seminole Indian, West Indian, or Haitian, because at the end of the day, you know, you got Jake that stood up there, oh, that's not no, and we ain't the same. But if you actually had a spiritual eye, you'll realize we all have suffered the curses. That's how it tells you that you would lose your heritage. So that's why you was called a nigga and a spick and a black. When black is a color, you know what I mean? Like, that's not a nationality of people. That's how you should know that you are them people. So this how much the devil is. You know what I mean? He doesn't let you think you anything but who you are. If you're so-called Black, Hispanic, Native American, Seminole Indian, West Indian, or Haitian, I implore you to come back to the law, statutes, and commandments. You know, I just thought about something because, you know, like I say, look at Haitians. Look at Simeon. You know, Simeon is damn, what I forgot what the tribe is. I can't think of the name. But when you go into Haitian, Haiti, you know, that landmass, you got 2 tribes on there. I would have to bear with me for a second.